Yesterday in Switzerland, Chairman of the Fed, Jerome Powell, came out and said that the U.S. consumer is in good shape. He also said that he and the Fed are not expecting a recession. Are we living in the twilight zone? Has the Fed ever been right about anything? Has the Fed ever been honest with the American people? It's Saturday, September 7th, 2019. Before we get into the show today, I want to thank everyone who sent me a letter. I want to thank everybody for your thoughts, your prayers, for all that positive energy. I want to thank everybody who sent me a donation. And remember, even if you send $1 or $2, it helps me immensely to keep producing these shows, to keep getting these shows out there. So thank you everyone for the great words of positivity, encouragement, all your thoughts, all your prayers. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for your help. I also want to thank Dr. Sonia Thompson. She sent me a book, Seeds of Prosperity for a Financial Revolution. I have not yet read this book. My mother read this book. She absolutely loved it. It's a small book. You could probably read it in a weekend. Some people could probably read it in one day, but it's going to touch base on what's happening financially right now in these times. It's going to give you a spiritual side. It's going to talk about gold, silver, God's money, why it's so important and why it's probably more important today than any other time in our history. It's going to talk about the great wealth transfer. It's going to talk about a lot of things that we're presently witnessing right now here in America and things to come. And while it's so important to really be opening your eyes, spiritually, with what's happening economically and financially across the world. So again, to the Dr. Sonia Thompson, thank you so much for sending this. I'm going to read it. Again, my mother absolutely loved it. So, if you're looking for a good book talking about what is happening economically, tying it in spiritually, the importance of gold and silver, but tying in spiritually to what is happening economically in America, this is a great book. So I will check that out. As I sit here on this beautiful Saturday evening, I was thinking about a few things, and I thought I'd make a video this evening. And I want to go back to the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell as he was in Switzerland yesterday, saying that the U.S. consumer is in good shape. And I sat there watching that, and I just said, wow, for the most part, we all know that the U.S. consumer is broke. The U.S. consumer is in bad shape. They're not in good shape. He also wanted to say that the Fed is not expecting a recession. And it really just makes you think, this guy is either that dumb, which I know he's not, but he is flat out lying to every one of us. He goes on to say that the economy is in a good place. You have an economy based on consumption. How can you be in a good place? You have a country that is bankrupt with $22.5 trillion. You've got, pension plans upside down all over the place. Cities across America broke. The consumer running up credit card debt, all-time highs with corporate debt. I mean, it's just a mess. And he says the economy is in a good place. I mean, this Fed and Jerome Powell is lying right to the face of the American taxpayer. He went on to say that years ago, we had 550 points to work with. Now the Fed's fund rate is 2.1%. We will need other tools if we get into trouble. He says that the Fed will continue to act as appropriately to sustain this expansion. So he's telling us all right there that the Fed is dedicated and subservient to making sure that the stock market stays propped up. He says, we serve all Americans. No, you serve the stock market and the Wall Street elites. I mean, how could he sit there with a straight face and tell the American people that we serve all Americans? Who's buying this? This Fed is lying to the American people, and this Fed is going to be the reason that we see a massive collapse here in America. After watching Jerome Powell yesterday, I said to myself, there's no way I trust this Fed. What they're telling us is a complete lie. And this is more reason to be getting ready. Now, I believe that they're gonna kick this can as long as they can. They're gonna promote this expansion as long as they can. It's on borrowed time, but it gives us all opportunity to buy a little bit more time to prepare. The metals got slammed yesterday, and most people that I know thought that was a very good thing because they can go in and buy on this dip. It's a discount, so go buy some more. So don't look at it as a bad thing. Look at it as an opportunity to go buy some more. For me, this is what I will be doing this month. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing with you what I will be doing. I will be taking my hard-earned money and I will diversify it in a couple different places. I will be adding to my security. I will be adding to ammo. I will be stacking more cash, and I will be purchasing more silver. That is my September plan as of right now. So it's going to be security, it's going to be ammo, it's going to be cash, and it's going to be silver. That's how I will be spreading my fiat monopoly money around this month. So again, this pullback, this dip in the metals, great. I'll buy a little bit more. And for everybody out there, you really have to think like, this is a very good opportunity. The Fed is they are completely loyal to the stock market. They're going to do whatever it takes. This buys everybody a little bit of time. If you haven't been preparing up to this point, get in and start preparing right now. Look, this Fed only has 2.1% to play with. They've got about $4 trillion on their balance sheet. We're witnessing a global slowdown. This trade war with China, I do not believe is going to be resolved anytime soon. And if it is, we don't know what kind of deal it's really going to be. And the bottom line is this: forget about China and trade wars. The massive debt in America is the #1 enemy to this country, and you need to be preparing for it. Let's talk a little bit about the jobs report yesterday. They were expecting 160,000. It came in lower. It came in at 130,000. But here's the thing that most people don't know. It would have been much, much worse if it wasn't for the consensus workers that were hired. 25,000 consensus workers. These are temporary jobs. So this pumped it up. This got us up to the 130,000. The federal government hired 25,000 temporary workers in August in preparation of the 2020 consensus. This gave us the overall jobs gain. This gave the jobs gain a big, big boost. Private sector employment was only up 96,000, the lowest pace since February. The retail sector lost 11,000 jobs. The trade transport sector lost 11,000 also. And when we look at where some of these jobs are, it's concerning because when you look at China, 50% of their GDP is manufacturing. 70% of our GDP is consumption. And the second largest percentage of our GDP is going to be the service sector. So when we break down some of the jobs report here, I'll break down a little bit of this for you. Professional business services, 37,000. Government jobs, 34,000. So the government literally hired most of the new jobs, right behind business services. Government jobs, 34,000. So, I mean, I guess now we all should just work for the government. Education and health services, not high paying, 32,000. Financial activities, 15,000. Construction, 14,000. You know, those construction jobs here in California, $10, $11, $12. Leisure and hospitality, 12,000. You know, these are your Starbucks workers. These are, you know, people cleaning hotel rooms. These are, you know, very low paying jobs. Manufacturing, only 3,000. That's a red flag right there. When we look at the manufacturing jobs for August, we only created 3,000 manufacturing jobs. Wholesale and trade, 2,900. When we look at transportation, utilities, mining, logging, and retail, every one of those sectors straight down, lost. And so again, you know, service sector, people working at hotels, people working at Starbucks, Uber and Lyft drivers, massage therapists, pedicurists. I mean, these are not high paying jobs. I mean, these are, for the most part, a lot of people's side hustles. And, if the job market was so good in America, how come so many people need 1, 2, or 3 side hustles just to make ends meet here in America? We live in an economy of consumption and debt. And this really, really concerns me because I know China knows the same thing. Americans are buying goods that we don't produce. We are making China rich. Americans are not saving money. They're not producing anything. Look at the average American now, dumbed down, obese, sitting on the couch, smoking dope, playing video games. I mean, look at the average 30-year-old in America now. These people don't even have a social life. They play video games and smoke dope. That's like the majority of the average millennial. And I hate to say that, but this is where we are at as a country, and we have gone off the rails. We're heading in a terrible direction here, and I believe we're going to need a crisis in America to wake this country up and to get people motivated again. And I truly believe that a day of reckoning is coming to America. We need it. It will not be avoided mathematically. The debt, this economy, just the morality, the people just socially in America need a wake up. People have become zombies, walking through the mall, sitting at a restaurant, just glued to their phones. People literally walking off cliffs, walking off the Grand Canyon because they're just so glued to their phones. They're oblivious to anything going on outside of that phone. People addicted to video games, people addicted to drugs. We just have complete social disruption taking place in America. The day of reckoning is coming to America. It will not be avoided, and it is necessary in order to save this country. And when it happens, everyone is going to be affected. Everyone's life is going to change. No matter how prepared you are, your life is instantly going to change. America will be rocked. A crisis is coming. It has begun, and it's going to be a dollar crisis, or it's going to be a debt crisis, or it's going to be both. We are going to see major economic crisis here in America. Debt, dollar, stock market, economy, you name it. We are going to see multiple crises hitting America, and your life, no matter how prepared you are, is going to change instantly. So make sure you are preparing for it, because it's not going to be stopped. It's not going to be avoided. And you need to be prepared to soften the blow. The people that are going to be hurt the most are the people who are on those phones, oblivious to what's happening to their country, oblivious to what's happening around them right now, people who just want to stay in their bubbles, people who are naive, people who just can't accept truth and reality. Listen to your heart, open up your ears, open up your mind, and absorb what's going on so that you are preparing yourself for this storm. We need a crisis in order to have change. The larger or the longer that this continues here in America, the worse and more painful it's going to be. I watched Peter Schiff on RT News today, and he said that China, we're talking about this trade war with China and America. China is going to lose, at worst, a customer, America, right? But if we lose China, we lose a banker, we lose a supplier. They're selling products to people like us Americans who can't afford them. They hold $1.2 trillion of U.S. debt. They also hold a lot of U.S. dollar denominated debt plus the treasury debt. So no matter how you want to chop it up, China's in the driver's seat, and I love America. I support America. I support this president 100%, and I'm glad somebody is standing up to China. But We have put China in such a strong position because they make everything. They manufacture everything. If you went into a recession tomorrow, would you want to be the country that doesn't make anything except consumption? You know, the country that consumes 70% of the GDP? Or would you want to be the country whose GDP is 50% manufacturing? A country that manufactures 50% of all steel in the entire world. Which one do you think is going to come out of a recession better? Which one do you think can withstand a trade war better? So this really, really worries me because we have allowed China to get so, we've made China a world superpower. We made China strong. And so I believe if we don't do something about it right now, it is over. The power will go to a communist regime with the biggest military, the biggest population, the biggest bank in the world, maybe now the biggest gold holders in the world, and the biggest producers of everything in the world. And so I believe that they must be stopped now. If we do not do it, nobody is going to. And America is in huge trouble. As we spoke earlier about crisis coming to America, the day of reckoning coming to America, you can already see the crisis in America. There are so many indications that things are so bad. We can talk about the automotive sector, retail, commercial real estate. We can talk about the wealthy not spending money at the luxury retail stores. We can talk about the RV market plunging. We can talk about new truck purchases, you know, Class 8 heavy equipment trucks, big semis, plunging 80% this month compared to last year at this same time. Everything is plunging. America's not producing anything. It's not manufacturing anything. We can talk about household debt. You know, the average household running $12,000, $14,000 in credit card debt. We look at corporate debt, all-time highs. Things are bad. This economy is in very, very bad shape. And this is a reminder to everyone out there. Let me reinforce this. You need to be preparing. Take this time right now, as the Fed just guaranteed the stock market that they're going to do everything, include throw the kitchen sink at it, to make sure that it goes on as long as it can. They're going to keep this thing propped up. They're going to inject it with every possible drug that they can to keep this thing alive. Take every day that you have right now to make sure that you are preparing every way possible, mentally, physically, spiritually, and economically. Take this time. They just gave you a gift. You bought some time. If you are not preparing right now, you need to start now. Take this as a gift that the Fed has bought more time, that it's going to do everything to salvage these markets, to keep these markets alive. Take the time and be preparing. I want to talk about an article that was on Zero Hedge that I read this morning, and it's talking about China and this fentanyl crisis. China is using fentanyl as a chemical warfare against America. Britain flooded China back in the 1800s with opium, and it destroyed China. The Opium Wars, beginning in the late 1800s, took China from the world's largest economy to less than half of that afterwards. China is using the same chemical warfare against America right now. And the money that they get from this opioid epidemic and the fentanyl, they're using that to give to political parties. They're using that to give to Hollywood and other political groups to stop America. And China is becoming so powerful with their influence here, buying, you know, real estate, buying farms, buying ranches, buying ports right here in Long Beach. They own the largest port on the West Coast. They're buying everything, and they bought Hollywood. So they have massive amounts of influence. They're influencing political parties, and now we're being attacked with chemical warfare, fentanyl, opioids, from China. China knows the power of these drugs because they literally got wiped out in the 1800s by Britain. So they're taking a page out of history and they're using it against us. And yet, should we trust them in these trade wars? Should we ever trust a communist regime? I say absolutely not. Look, I'm gonna leave it right there today on this beautiful Saturday evening. Take today Take the weekend as opportunity to continue to prepare, to pray, to walk closer to God, to be closer to your family, just to embrace life. And remember, you are absolutely blessed. You have so much you don't even know. There are so many people that would trade with you in a heartbeat. You might live in some little dumpy studio apartment, but let me tell you, you are richer than 90% of the people in the world. Don't ever forget it. Get on your hands and knees and thank God today you have a roof over your head, that you're breathing, that you actually have the opportunity to watch this video, that you have a phone or a computer that you can watch this video. There's a lot of people that could never do that. And thank God that you have the opportunity, that you're opening your mind and awakening to the threats and the evil out there so that you can prepare, protect yourself, protect your family, and be involved in historical times. We are going to watch and witness and be a part of biblical and historical events right here. And I want everybody to just be in the mindset to be involved and do everything that you can do, that you possibly can do to make sure that while we enter this spiritual warfare, that we win. You need to pick your side right now. Are you on the good side or are you on the evil side? Evil is going to lose. Good will win. Make sure that you pick the good side. Make sure you pick God's side, because we are going to witness historical biblical events. You are going to be a part of it. Do not be on the losing side. The light, the good, and God and the good people of America are going to win. Make sure you prepare. You will prosper. You will be victorious. God bless you. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you share it. Make sure you like it. Have a phenomenal weekend. God bless you all, and I will talk to you soon.